Hey, everybody, and welcome in. It's the Poor Man Fantasy Football League podcast. We're the fantasy football show that gives you a peek inside the life and times of our Dynasty League. I'm your host, Mike, and with me, as always, is my friend Andrew. And this week, we're going to be breaking down the AFC North with our special guest, Gabriel. It is Wednesday, July 31st. Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, thank you. And yourself?
I can't complain. I got a couple work stories I want to share with you guys. But you know what? Before we get to that, let's talk to Gabriel. We haven't had you on the show in a while. How's life out in Montreal?
I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight. It's been a hot summer in Montreal.
I think it's been a hot summer, like at least in North America, it's been uncomfortably hot.
Yeah, the thing is, it's way hotter in Montreal than it is in Quebec, so I'm thinking about going back to Quebec City.
Okay. Do you suffer from a lot of humidity being on the St. Lawrence?
Yeah, we do. We do actually. That's the big problem in Montreal. Humidity.
All right. And you've enjoyed the other things outside of the heat, you like the city, the culture, the people. You outside of that, would you stay in Montreal? You're enjoying your visit, your
I'll stay
temporary
in
residency?
Montreal since my girlfriend is in Montreal. I would go back to Quebec City tomorrow morning if it wasn't for her. Culture
Oh,
is nice in Montreal, and I've been enjoying some music festival, music shows, so can't complain that much.
okay, man. Well, that's good to know. Well, I did tease that I had an interesting work story. I currently drive around this old van, and it works for me. It gets me where I need to go, and I hate it when I have to take it in for service. So before I went on vacation earlier this month, I put it in for service because I had no AC. It broke. So when I got back, I was gonna want it. It was nearly 40 degrees a day. I was gonna need AC to be able to work. So it didn't happen. It wasn't fixed. Had to wait an extra week and a half. Drove around an old, even worse, busted old van. Well, I got my van back. Yay, right? So I've been driving around my van for maybe a week. Maybe a week. This morning, I show up for work. Now remember, it's Wednesday. I worked Monday. I worked Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. I show up Wednesday. I come in. I get an email from our fleet services department saying, hey, your brand new van is here. Come get it. I was like, joyous. This is going to be exciting. I have a day of work planned. I can't just go and do it. It kills a day. So you know what? I'll rearrange it. I'll make tomorrow work. I'll go get it tomorrow. I'm guessing my current van heard because when I went outside to go start it, it died. It like died. So I'm like, okay. So I go across the street.
Karma.
Yeah, it's karma. I go across the street. I get the little booster pack, boost it up. It starts. It's going. I'm like, all right. Well, now I got to go kill like an hour to like charge this thing up, and then try and figure out why it discharged. So I go through everything. I unplug. I turn everything off. I'm like, there's nothing that should be draining it. Test the battery. Battery test good. All right. Well, let's just go for a drive. Drive around for an hour and a half. Make a service call. Should be good to go. Drive to a destination. Park. Work for the day. Come out at 3:00 thinking, you know what? I got more than enough time. Make it back to the shop. File some paperwork. I go to turn it over. It doesn't turn. All the lights come on. Radio plays. Clock is good. Everything's good. Chargers are good. But it won't turn over. Like, is it the starter? Well, doesn't matter. Not my problem because this thing's going to the scrap heap tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. But I got to get it back to the shop first. So I call our internal towing department. The guy's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm the on-call guy because we close at 3, and I'm already at home, and I'd have to drive like across the city to go get my van, like my equipment, my tow truck and equipment to come rescue you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call in an actual tow truck and have them come get you instead." I'm like, sure, man, I don't care who comes and gets me as long as somebody rescues me. So a contractor, just like your AMA, whatever, calls me up and says, yeah, where are you at? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, no problem. He shows up, gets me going, good to go. Nice guy, very chatty. I'm driving. As I return home, turn back, turn my van off, my foreman's fully aware of what's going on. I leave, I'm driving home. The on-call guy calls me back and says, hey, did the guy rescue you? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm already on my way home. He's like, oh, that's awesome. Did you want to file a complaint? No. He's like, You can if you want to. Here, you got a pen. I'm going to give you the name and number who you got to call to complain to. You want me to file a complaint about you? He goes, oh, no, not about me. I think I've been really nice about all of this. I took care of you. I saved you time, didn't I? Well, I guess, because that guy took 45 minutes and you said you'd take an hour and a half to go and get your vehicle and then come get me, right? So, yes. He's like, okay, perfect. Because I want to drive the truck home instead of having to drive and go and get it. So if you file a complaint, you're going to help me get that truck back at my house. Okay, sure. You want me to file a complaint so you can help justify being able to take the tow truck home so that when you get a call out, you can just take it from where you are to wherever you got to go. Like, that makes sense. Yeah, that's just the way it goes in municipal government.
And so that he can go and claim a bunch of overtime because he had to go get the van.
Well, he claims overtime whenever he gets a call anyways. You get 30 minutes per phone call. If you respond, so in this case, if it takes him an hour to go get the tow truck, he bills an hour. And then whatever time it takes to go get the tow truck to come to me to help me out and then take the tow truck back and then drive home, he bills for all of that time. We all do. That's how it works when you're on call. Except in my department, I can take the vehicle home.
So he was just being lazy.
Yeah. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. Have a good time. So that's my story from today.
Is his name Adam, and is side gig the AV world?
No, that is not who we're talking about. That is not what we're talking about. Anyways, before we jump into some football stuff, have either of you guys, been watching the Olympics?
A little bit.
Anybody?
A little bit, yeah.
I haven't watched any. I feel kind of bad. I wanted to.
What kind of Canadian are you?
Don't you watch Olympics while working? You should.
Unfortunately, no. I'm in the field now. When I was based out of our office doing like shop work, yeah, man, I have like 4 TVs on watching stuff all day long. Not now. Come wintertime, though, I'm trying to get myself back in so I don't have to be in the cold, and I can watch football on Thursdays when I work late.
That's great.
Planning ahead. All right. Well, it sounds like the Olympics has been fun. There's some good stuff going on. Go Canada. I essentially been living through social media, seeing some neat highlights, some stories and stuff. Seems like Snoop Dogg's having a great time.
Sure.
Smoking weed.
Lots of celebrities there for him. He's probably hanging out with all the celebrities that are there.
Well, he's like the U.S. mascot. So he seems to go to all the high-profile events and is just a crowd pleaser, living his good life.
Yeah, it looks like
all right,
a
well, let's
blast.
talk some football news.
Sorry, Gabriel?
It looks like a blast in Paris right now.
It does. It does look like fun from what I've seen.
Except for the crazy rain.
Oh, I haven't seen anything about the rain. Is it coming down pretty good?
Yeah, they've had lots of rain. They had to postpone the triathlon 2 days because it rained so much that the river that they're going to do the swimming in was too contaminated. So they had to wait for the contamination levels to go down.
Contaminated?
Yeah, with E. coli.
Nasty.
Yep.
I mean, pretty much every river in North America does the same.
Probably.
Rains.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. All right. Well, let's talk football news.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to get through, so I'm going to try and rattle this off real quick. Football starts tomorrow, sort of. For anyone remotely interested, the Hall of Fame game starts tomorrow night. That's Texans versus the Bears. Caleb Williams will not be playing, even though apparently he asked to play.
Wow. Okay.
He did, yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, but I did see that on social media that he asked to play, and they said no. I'm sure that most would prefer to watch the breakdancing at the Paris Olympics than watch the Hall of Fame game.
Yes, that's their test. One of their test sports this year is breakdancing, apparently.
Yeah, maybe actually. I do like watching breakdancing. I'm not sure how it would go with the Olympics, but
yeah. But I'm sure it's going to be as entertaining as the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah. The Dolphins extended Tua Tagovailoa 4 years, $212 million, which was quickly outshined by the Packers extending Jordan Love 4 years at $220 million, making him the highest paid quarterback in football right now. Crazy. At least until Dak Prescott gets his deal.
We'll see.
If he ever.
In another weird turn of events, Jets head coach Robert Saleh said that Aaron Rodgers is unlikely to play this season as he is still recovering from the Achilles.
Oh yeah,
I doubt that.
Like,
I mean,
You've seen him out on the field running around already.
yeah, we seen him out running around the field last year. This, to me, this is wild. Like, how did this come out now, close to the preseason, when you had like months to be able to temper the expectations of football fans everywhere?
I can't see that being real.
yeah,
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't rule out playing in the preseason. That's like NBC News 3 hours ago. Robert Saleh said he's not going to play in the preseason this year, not the season.
Ah,
Yeah.
That's the
okay.
big difference.
That's a misleading
That's a
headline then.
huge difference. Yep.
That's a misleading headline, those buggers. Okay, sorry, I fell trapped to the clickbait, you guys. All right, Amari Cooper restructures his deal with the Browns so he gets paid more, but makes it more team friendly.
Yep.
The Bears extend DJ Moore 4 years, $110 million. Good for him.
I don't think he's worth it, but we'll
I
see.
don't think he's worth it either, but good for him.
I mean, he still finished top 10 in fantasy last year. It was good with Justin Field.
He did with Bryce.
Justin Field.
Yeah,
Oh, with Justin Field, because he was there. Yeah, that's right. So not bad, not bad. Rashad Penny retired. Little side note here, Gabriel, you drafted him in our inaugural draft. How do you feel about that?
I feel bad. He was my fifth.
For him or for you?
Both.
If you might recall, that year was the year of there were several running backs that did nothing. Darius Geis that year, that was the Lions running back, Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of dudes that essentially did nothing. So don't feel too bad about Rashad.
And he was always part of a running back by committee.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
Always
team.
injured.
Yeah. I don't think you ever really got to see him shine just because there were so many running backs in that room.
He had one good year where he showed off some amazing stuff and then was gone.
Yep.
Okay, last little bit. This is some exciting news for all you Viking fans out there. Sam Darnold is getting some love from Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is excited that Darnold can throw bombs. So if you don't have shares, go and get your Sam Darnold shares.
Yeah. All of you go spend all your fab on getting Darnold. He's going to be the next hot ticket. Yeah.
I am in the middle of the Borman family Guillotine League, which I've been playing in every year since it started. And I make reference to it during the football season. And we are in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Round 9. We're in round 9. Literally, as we were talking earlier, it was my turn to pick. It's taken forever to get this. We've been 5 days. It started last Friday. Going slowly. And some of the selections have been outstanding. I have been poached more in this particular draft than I have been in any other draft I've been in. Granted, it is 18 teams. So there's a lot of guys grabbing stuff ahead of you. But reaching, the average ADP suggestion, there's still some impressive looking running backs on the board. I went running backs early to go get wide receivers late. Now my wide receivers are looking pretty shoddy. I just want to share with you guys real quick. Here's how it played out. I landed Breece Hall, Dak Prescott, Kyron Williams, Jake Ferguson, because it is tight end premium, T. Higgins, Tony Pollard, Russell Wilson, Josh Palmer, and Darnell Mooney.
It's not bad.
Not bad. I have to survive the first couple of weeks to pick some dudes off the waiver wire once these guys get chopped. But I still have one receiver to take, another second tight end, a second flex, and then 3 bench spots. It's going to be exciting. It's fun stuff. Do you guys have Andrew? I know you don't. Gabriel, do you have any drafts coming up you're getting ready for?
No, my own league is drafting 2 to 3 days before the NFL season starts, so in a month, probably.
In a month, so you should have some good clarity by then.
Yeah.
Who's injured, who's starting.
That's why we're waiting. We don't want to have someone drafting.
Yeah, because there's always one or two of those right toward the end of the preseason, or week 1 even,
or even right now. There's several offensive linemen and a couple D linemen that have already gone out with ACL and MCL tears. And this is just contact in practice. This is not even game time yet.
Well, I mean, you look at Rodgers last year, right? It wasn't a big hit that took him out.
Nope.
It was just, an awkward step.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. It is the AFC North. For those that don't know, like myself, we are going to be looking at the Baltimore Ravens, the Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year, Baltimore took this division 13-4. Very commanding. Cleveland, super surprising, led by Joe Flacco, and to a playoff spot, 11-6. Pittsburgh, even though they struggled offensively, still finished 10-7. Cincinnati, without Joe Burrow and both of their receivers at the same time, finished 9-8. So everybody still had a winning season, even with all of their struggles. Okay. This, according to Vegas, this I can share with you. Vegas has it rated that the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, that's the order of the finish. However, what it doesn't show you is how close this particular division is on the betting odds. So it's 140 Ravens, 145 Bengals, 165 Browns, 450 Steelers. So they're expecting the Steelers to be last, but that's pretty tight margins, all considering, which could be one of the strongest divisions in football.
I feel like it's a stronger one. Probably.
Mm-hmm. All right. You guys ready to make some predictions?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody want to go first?
I mean, I
Nope.
think
Okay.
Andrew should. It's
Sure,
his team
I'll
division.
go first. I'll go first.
This is
I don't
his
mind.
division. This is it. All right, Andrew, lead us off.
I've got the Ravens going 10-7.
10-7.
Yep. I got the Bengals going 11-6.
11-6 already. Okay.
Yep. Browns going 8-9.
Ooh.
And the Steelers going 9-8.
That's okay. Do tell, please. Do tell. You've got Cincinnati winning the division 11-6. Okay.
Yes.
I can see
As long as everybody stays healthy.
Yep.
There's no reason why they shouldn't.
All right. You got Baltimore going 10-7.
Yes. They still got a high-powered offense. And now they got a good running back. So they're going to have some wins. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to surprise some teams. Even though their quarterback room is a little bit shaky right this moment. Who's going to start? Who's going to do what? We'll see. But the rest of the team is good, and the Steelers always have a good defense. I don't trust Deshaun Watson, nor the rest of that team, especially with Chubb probably not playing for the first little bit, if anything. So I don't see Cleveland doing it much this year. I think it's generous to give them an 8-9. I think their whole offense is going to be Amari Cooper. And that's it.
Okay. All right, Gabriel, do you want to go or do you want to see what I got?
Yeah, I want to see what you got. I'm the guest,
all right.
after all.
You are the guest. Here's what I got. I got Baltimore going 11-6. I still think they are the team to beat in this division. And the way their record plays, I think they'll get those wins. Now, I've got a three-way tie between Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. And I actually have it going Cincinnati, Cleveland with Pittsburgh. So that's kind of how I would do it. And I'll mark that down here, that I do think Cleveland is 2, Pittsburgh is 3 on this list, and Cincinnati is 1 as a result of the tiebreaker. I think all 4 of these teams could be making a mess and going to the playoffs.
Wow. That's a bold statement, but
I think this is a year where that record could be set. I think Baltimore wins the division, and I think these guys cannibalize each other, but dominate the rest of football. I do believe in Deshaun Watson in the sense that he is going to be competent enough, like Joe Flacco, like the other 4 quarterbacks that filled in for him, for them to be able to etch out those wins. This is a team that has made some changes. Now, granted, I do agree Nick Chubb's probably not playing football this year. But Jerome Ford filled in rather admirably, and they brought in some depth, not to replace him, but it might be a bit more running back.
To enhance them.
Jerome Ford gets the 1-2. They have somebody else taking the goal line, and they got somebody else doing the third down.
You think they call on make a phone call to Hunt again?
No, I think that relationship's done. I do agree with you about Pittsburgh having a solid defense. Mike Tomlin is probably one of the best coaches in football. Regardless of what he has, he's able to etch out wins and victories and drive his team to success.
Yeah, he'll
I
drive
think
teams bonkers by shutting down their offense and winning like
Yeah.
a 10-6 game or something like that,
Sure.
right? Like,
Now with what he has restructured this team to be, with Deontay Johnson gone, Roman Wilson, George Pickens, Justin Fields doing kick returns and backup Q. Like there's some interesting things that could be done here, and I think
Yep.
they'll utilize it. And then Cincinnati is a powerhouse as long as Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase are on the field. I don't care who the running
Yeah.
back is. That is an afterthought. As long as you've got those three, this team can win through the air. So those are my thoughts. Gabriel, do you want to share yours?
Yeah. Mine are a little different than
Okay.
you guys. I don't have
Yeah.
the Pittsburgh Steelers doing as good as you guys are projecting them to be. And the thing is, I don't think Pittsburgh is going to win the division game this year. So that's why they
Not
have
a single division game?
No, I don't think they will. I mean, I believe in Tomlin, but the thing is, Baltimore is way stronger. Same thing with Cincinnati, and the Cleveland defense
All
is as good, if not better, than the Steelers ones.
All right, so break it down for those that can't see but can hear what's
Yeah.
going on. Who's your number one?
My number one is Baltimore Ravens at 12-5. I believe they're going to win the head-to-head matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's why they're winning the division this year. I have Cincinnati Bengals 11-6 this year, and I don't have them winning the division simply because they lost so many defensive guys this offseason, and not a lot of huge gains on defense. They have a great offense, but they're gonna be porous in defense this year. At Cleveland, I have them 10-7 because they went 11-6 with Joe Flacco, and now they added Jerry Jeudy. I feel like they're more complete in offense, albeit without Nick Chubb, but he was not playing last year. So I'm going 10-7, and I have Pittsburgh Steelers going 6-11. They're gonna win mostly the games against the Commanders and those teams from the NFC East, but not a whole lot from there.
I'm going to give
Division.
one little tidbit of information. Pittsburgh, under Mike Tomlin, has never had a losing season.
I mean, something
This
has
could
to
be
happen
Mike
once.
Tomlin.
and quite honestly, both of you have had very, very valid points on all sides of this division. You look at it and you think any one of the teams could step up and steal the division. Any one of the teams could step up and surprise, like Pittsburgh could surprise everybody, go on a massive winning streak. Cleveland could do the same thing, the Lions, and be a lunch pail, win by committee, no one great big superstar on the team, right? Like it could be that way. Cincinnati, like you said, Mike, all three guys could go down again. And then what do? Right?
Draft
They don't
first
have
overall next year. That's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. So this division, I think, is feast or famine. But I think outside of the division, they're going to feast on everybody. And I would even say like Baltimore and Cincinnati got a shot at taking out Kansas City in the regular season. I don't see it in the playoffs, but in the regular season, could steal a win if they're playing them, right?
Wow.
So Buffalo, these teams could probably beat up on Buffalo, could beat up on Miami. Right? Like all of these teams have the ability to take those wins. I mean, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, a little bit less of a shot, but who knows? They could. Weirder things have happened. Cleveland was one of the crappiest teams in the league. They put up 51 points on Cincinnati.
You said it before, Andrew. This division plays in division really tough.
Yes. I'm sure when the season calendar comes out, they're circling the weeks that they got the in-division games because those are the ones they're stepping up to. This is our best week.
Okay. All right. Just to quickly recap before we reveal the professionals over at Fox Sports. I have the Baltimore Ravens winning the division 11-6. I have a three-way tie going Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, 10-7. Andrew, you have Cincinnati winning the division, 11-6, followed by Baltimore, 10-7, Pittsburgh, 9-8, Cleveland, 8-9. Gabriel, you have Baltimore winning the division, 12-5. Cincinnati second, 11-6. Cleveland 10-7, and Pittsburgh all the way down at 6-11. Let's have a look at what Fox Sports said.
Boom!
Fox
Cincinnati.
Boom.
The only good thing
has,
in Ohio is the Bengals.
okay. Fox Sports currently has the Cincinnati Bengals winning the division 13-4. They have Baltimore going 11-6, followed by Cleveland 9-8, and Pittsburgh with its first losing season with 8-9, which to me is still kind of like a 50-50 because they added the extra
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
But
Not
wow,
that far off.
not
Nope.
that far off.
No, you're not.
You're that's pretty good. Well, let's talk about these teams and what we like and don't like about their rosters. Starting with last year's division winners, the Baltimore Ravens. They're headed up by Lamar Jackson. They acquired Derrick Henry. That was a rather big splash that should get them some sweet results. They still have running back Keaton Mitchell. The wide receiver room is always the big question. Zay Flowers is the number one. Rashad Bateman, I think, restructured a contract or signed on a one-year tender. I'm not sure. He came back to the team. And then tight end Mark Andrews. They did draft some rookies. Wide receiver Devontae Walker in round 4. Running back Rasheen Ali in round 5, and QB Devin Leary in round 6. Is this team really kind of one-trick pony with passing to Mark Andrews heavily and then running between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson? Is that kind of like their MO? Is there anything special you see here outside of that? Anybody?
I mean,
Not really. Sorry, go ahead, Gabriel.
even if they are one trick pony, it's a damn good pony at that. So
Yeah, it worked for them, and it has worked for them for years. So it's not like teams haven't had an opportunity to figure it out. These guys just continue to perform.
Yeah. My only real concern with this team is going to be the relationship between Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Henry likes to pound the ball and have lots of touches to get the feel for the game. If Lamar Jackson's taking all his running, does he become just a secondary thought? I'd hate for his career to regress because his quarterback doesn't like to share.
I could see the check down system changing dramatically because they have Derrick Henry. You got a guy who can ground and pound it, but you also don't want to put a bunch of wear and tear. But because you have a running quarterback, it opens up a lot of lanes for your running back because they have to cover two individuals coming out of that backfield. So I like the combination personally. I'm not concerned about what Derrick Henry is going to be able to produce. His touchdown totals might drop because Lamar Jackson might steal a bunch at the goal line, but I think he's going to get enough touches with the possibility of some big runs.
This team has the potential to be special. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's why I think like this. Who knows what it's going to be like? You're not going to know until week 2 or 3 what the chemistry on the team is and how they're going to be, and we'll see how everything shakes out for them, and how they structure it now, how the offense runs, because they got a good solid defense. There's no doubt about that. But again, my concern is Lamar Jackson going to be too much of a Josh Allen? And I always want the ball. I
think they're going to design runs. That is one of his best attributes. So yeah, I think he'll have some significant runs.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. Let's talk about Cleveland. Cleveland had a quarterback carousel and still manufactured wins. They are several years removed from all of the quarterback debacles of the past, and are somehow getting wins with the quarterback debacles they're living with now. They have not had Deshaun Watson be able to play for them and live up to that massive contract they gave him. Deshaun Watson is far removed from the success that he has had, whether it was because he was suspended or benched or lost to injury. So I think he's going to come back and he's never going to return back to his peak form. Never. I think that is long gone. That ship has sailed. What he will do is he'll come back and he'll capture the bandwidth right in the middle of the mid-tier quarterback. He's not going to be great and he's not going to be crappy. He is your prolific game manager. And Andrew, you said that the entire offense is going to flow through Amari Cooper. Yeah, I agree. And I have many shares of Amari Cooper. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, let that happen.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy, I think, is good enough to be a quality wide receiver too. I don't know if I trust Elijah Moore to fit that role. So Gabriel, you brought that up, that Jerry Judy's there. I think this is a good move for him. Fresh space, new scenery, let things start over for him and see what happens.
And he signed
It's
a
the running back
pretty
room.
big contract this year. He's got a
Did
big
Judy get a
contract.
good contract?
Yeah, like 15 to 20 million a year, I think.
Yeah.
Like
I'm pretty sure he did.
Ooh. Okay, if he's
But-
getting paid that kind of money, they're going to have to force feed him the ball. They're going to want him to work for that then. Yeah. Okay. David Njoku, the tight end, had a great year last year, but that was with Joe Flacco, who likes tight ends. Don't know where Deshaun Watson fits because we haven't really seen him play football in a long time. So I'm 50-50 if David Njoku will be fantasy relevant this year, but I do like Jerome Ford. He's not easily accessible right now if you're trying to go out there and trade, but if you're doing redrafts or startups, Jerome Ford is left for dead in the late rounds for a guy who could be starting this year. So I do like that. Any other? They did draft Jamani Thrash, wide receiver, in round 5. Don't know him, haven't looked. Think he's probably irrelevant at this point. Anybody else's thoughts and comments? Gabriel, let's start with you.
I mean, for some reason, I think Nick Chubb is going to come back this year.
Yeah.
Probably not as good as he once was, but I feel like the corpse of Nick Chubb is probably as good as Jerome Ford. And I have Jerome Ford in a dynasty that I'm playing with friends, and it's hard to sell Jerome Ford for pennies. So I don't think people believe in Jerome Ford that much.
Okay. Well, if you can snag him, I like having Jerome Ford, not as my 1 or my 2, but as my, hey, I'm going to have him on my bench in case I need a spot start. And if he starts getting hot, then that's a guy I'm going to put into a flex role. All right.
I agree. I think this whole team, though, is going to be dependent on how Watson plays. We all say, okay, Jerry Jeudy should have a good year. But if Deshaun Watson can't throw the ball accurately, he's not going to have a good year. Look at him with Russell Wilson. Wasn't all that great because Russell Wilson was on the downslide. Amari Cooper, he's proven himself. Elijah Moore, we've already said it. Couldn't really cut it in New York. Probably not going to cut it here in Cleveland. David Njoku, again, he was with a tight end quarterback. Don't think Deshaun Watson, when he was in Houston, wasn't a big tight end guy because he wanted to run the ball more. So there's too many question marks, but 1 or 2 guys have to step up, and Deshaun Watson has to get hot. Not again. He's never going to, like you said, Mike. He's never going to be the guy he was 5 years ago. Not going to happen. But can he be good enough to get them some wins? We'll have to see. I have less faith on them.
I looked up.
I just looked him up as well.
Yeah, the game log of Deshaun Watson, and he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-1 last year. And there's a game he played 1 snap, I think, but
and got injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a quick update for Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb has just started at training camp this week doing change of direction stuff in addition to full speed sprinting. The team is being very cautious not to pressure him by putting a timetable on his potential return. It's amazing news for the Browns if he can get back on the field in the first 8 weeks of this season, that they'll be in great shape. Of course, he does not have to return that. So I guess the expectation at this point is that he might not return in the first 8 weeks, but maybe after that, as long as he's showing progressive, consistent recovery. Great.
Hey, if I was the coach and and week 8 we're 7-1, Chubb, your ass is sitting on the bench until we start losing. Stay healthy.
Until we know you're cool, we're not going to push it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's talk about them Pittsburgh Steelers. They made some significant changes to their roster in the offseason. They punted several of their starters and brought in some new ones. They have quarterback Russell Wilson essentially for $1. They went and picked up quarterback Justin Fields from the Bears for a stack of potatoes. And they're rocking with, again, with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, but they did not exercise Najee Harris's fifth-year option. Their current wide receiver that's returning with the team is wide receiver George Pickens, who was a standout last year. And that's it. They did go and pick up some bodies off the waiver, and they did draft wide receiver Roman Wilson from our Michigan Wolverines, go blue. But he was carted off the field yesterday with a foot injury. Now, I haven't checked into this.
He'll be fine.
Sure.
He's Michigan blue. He's tough.
Yeah, not worried at all. As I drafted him in everywhere I possibly could that I could get him ahead of Andrew. But they do have Pat Freiermuth, and I think that might be a significant boost in his fantasy value with the lack of familiar targets. Now, granted, it is a new offensive scheme. They did bring over that Arthur Smith from Atlanta. I think
Atlanta used to be a tight end throwing team.
They were. Johnny Smith was a big deal. They ran the ball, just not with their star running back. So I don't know. I have Russell Wilson that I just drafted in my guillotine league as my quarterback number 2. I have faith that he is going to be the week 1 starter. Don't know if he's going to survive the whole season, but I'm sure he's going to have a significant run to begin the season. And that's what I'm banking on. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, any thoughts, comments? I'm pretty indifferent at this point. To me, they're one and the same.
Yeah, I think Najee Harris though is gonna this is gonna be his best year because it's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be, especially until the offense starts to get some rhythm and get to know each other and figure out who's going to be the top receiver between Pickens and Freiermuth. Najee Harris, I think, could have some big games. I'm not sure which one of the two is the catching back.
Jalen Warren.
Okay, so I mean, he could have some real benefit on third downs for them to get them their first downs, and he could benefit if he can break it off for a touchdown or two throughout the year.
He definitely gathered a lot of steam heading towards the end of the season last year. Yes. So I'm hopeful Jalen Warren is going to get a significant amount of touches. If Arthur Smith repeats with what he likes to do on offense, I suspect it'll be a committee, and the ceiling might be tempered a little bit for each of these guys, but you might get a nice floor out of both.
Sure. Very valid.
Well, let's talk about them Cincinnati Bungles and the injury bug that they have been bitten with. Joe Burrow decided to go through a transformation and came back to camp looking like original 1990s, early 2000s. Not sure what the deal with that is, but he's there. He seems to be throwing well. He looks like he's got some mobility. I have watched some social media content showing him at camp, which to me is very optimistic. I'm invested in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, so I'm hoping there's some good stuff going on. They do have running back Zach Moss, but there has been a lot of smoke coming out for Chase Brown that it's not Zach Moss's backfield, that it's up for grabs and who's going to earn it. Do you guys think there's any truth to that?
Well, it's Zach Moss really has only had, I'd say, 1.5 solid years in his NFL tenure. Last year was his best year, and I think he's riding that. He's had he's been in some running back by committees, and it just buried him in the depth chart. So it'll be interesting to see, like, does Zach Moss just kind of crawl into a shell if Chase Brown pressures him for the starting role? I think it's Zach Moss's to lose. Week 1, it'll be Zach Moss.
Okay. I could echo that. Yeah.
And then if he doesn't produce, and he's going to have to produce fast, because the running back is going to have to. He's also going to have to block. Whoever's back there is going to have to block for Burrow, and that was one of the things with Cincinnati last year was, and the year that he went down with his knee injury, guys weren't blocking enough. And these guys are going to have to step up and protect Burrow. So Mike Gesicki might get hurt by these guys because he may have to stay home and block. So,
which is not his his forte.
Not his
If
forte,
you remember
no.
him in Miami, he talked about they're teaching me how to block here
Because they had to
pure
protect
pass
Tua.
catching tight end. So I'm curious at how this is going to pan out for him. I suspect if there is an injury to Higgins or Chase, that Mike Gesicki might get some touches.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it might be rookie wide receiver Jermaine Burton that they picked up in round 3. They did grab 2 other tight ends, former Michigan Wolverine Eric All in round 4 and Tanner McLaughlin in round 6.
Yeah.
Now, Eric All is coming off of an injury and he's on the pup to start the season, so I don't imagine we'll see him at all until
Probably not.
late. Yeah, I think I love the offensive potential through the passing game here. I just don't know if I can trust the running game like I could with Joe Mixon. Optimistic, right? Establish the run. It opens up the pass. If your passing game is good, and we know that these guys are going to want to pass it, it should open up the game for Zach Moss. So if he can take advantage of the situation and beat out Chase Brown, which would be a first for him, right? Because he's always had the role based upon an injury ahead of him.
Yeah.
He gets the job and he does well with it. So I hope he does not turn into an Alexander Madison or a Tony Pollard that as the backup, he excels. But as soon as he becomes the starter, he just...
Well, it was kind of that way last year with him and Taylor in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was games even when Taylor was healthy, there was games where Zach Moss outproduced him. So I think that's why I say he's had 1.5 good years. So we'll see. Like you said, Mike, that pressure may get to him and he just stumbles. His best scenario, throw the ball to Higgins and Chase down to the 5-yard line and then let him run it in. Get all the touchdowns. Get all the touchdowns where the guys can't finish the pass and run.
Mm-hmm.
They get caught from behind at the 5-yard line and then let him take over. Or Burrow just reach over because he's tall enough and long enough arms, just reach over the goal line for it.
All right. Gabriel, any comments about the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be good this year. The offense is going to be good. I feel like Jamar Chase in the contract year is going to give it his all with Joe Burrow. Same thing with T. Higgins. They're all playing for a contract next year. I feel like Zach Moss benefited too much from the good Colts offensive line last year. I don't think he's that good. Chase Brown was quite good last year. He had a good spell while Joe Mixon was injured, I feel. But he had some good games last year. He had some good runs. Tight end is always, you want to grab the Cincinnati Bengals offensive player, but I don't feel like Mike Gesicki is going to be that good.
No,
and
I agree. That's a hope and a prayer.
Yeah.
They've kind of had a revolving door at tight end for the last few years. So I don't think they've had the right guy there. So and maybe Burrow just doesn't like throwing to the tight ends. Who knows?
Every
they're
year
too close to the line of scrimmage. He wants to go downfield.
Yeah.
Every year is the same story. They grab a new free agent tight end. Everyone wants to trade or buy the guy, and then the guy is a ghost on the team.
Yeah.
And I heard Jermaine Burton is a good rookie, though. I heard
Who did? Oh, Jermaine
Burton. Yeah. He could have been like a first rounder, but he has some attitude issue, so that's why he went the third round. So he could be good.
And maybe he replaces Boyd, right? Boyd was always that kind of. Boyd was always filled in when Higgins or Chase wasn't producing. Like the three of them were a good tight end or a good wide receiver team. Maybe Burton fits in and can pick up some of the slack if the guys just have a bad game or if one of them goes down.
Yeah, or next year when one of them probably goes away. Probably T. Higgins.
T. Higgins has already said, this is probably going to be my last year in Cincinnati because I want to get paid. And they already said they can't afford to pay me. Who knows? Right. Hopefully that doesn't drive the team away from using to him.
Let me add to that. Gabriel, you talked about this being a contract year for Jamar Chase. It's not. He's acting like it is. He still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. It is not his fifth year option. This is year 3, or you're going into year 4. So normally, like CeeDee Lamb's in his final year. This is a contract year. That's why he's acting the way he is and not participating in team drills. Jamar Chase is also sitting in and handing out water bottles and towels and not participating. It hasn't been said, at least not that I've seen or heard, that he's doing this as a result of the contract extension, because to me that seems weird that you would do it 2 years early.
Well, I would hate for this to hurt him and him become a distraction and drag this into the year where
Yeah.
I want to be paid. I want to be paid. I want to be paid. They're not respecting me. They're not this. They're not that. They're not giving me what I deserve. The only thing I would have to say to him then is just produce on the field. If you're the top wide receiver at the end of the year, they'll pay you.
Actually, heck, even if you get injured, more than likely, if you performed up to a certain point, they're still going to pay you.
Yeah. These guys that say, I want to sit out because, like even CeeDee Lamb, you know what? Let your performance on the field dictate your worth, not your mouth, not your actions.
He did, though.
CeeDee Lamb was
He did.
amazing last year.
CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee
Yeah.
Lamb, yes, he did, and he's just got a nutball for an owner, who the hell knows what Jerry Jones is going to do? Maybe for a Thanksgiving gift, he gives him a new contract. Who knows?
Thanksgiving.
But gives him a Black Friday deal or something. Who knows?
Anything. I think the Cowboys have priced themselves out of the CeeDee Lamb market with the contracts
and the quarterback
that have been
market
given to these receivers. If DJ Moore can get $110 million,
yeah,
CeeDee Lamb's going to get way more than that.
Yeah. But they just got a nutball for an owner. So who knows what the hell's going to happen there. But, I just think like these guys that just don't let your mouth and your ego try to dictate your worth. Because if you're going to be a distraction to the team, you're just going to piss off the management. And they're not going to want to give you the money. Go out, produce. Be the number 1, the number 2 guy in the league. And then at the end of the year or halfway through the year, if you're the number 2 guy, okay, let's sit down and let's do some serious talking. I don't want to do this in the public. I don't want to do this as a distraction to the team, but look what I'm doing for the team. Attendance is up. We're winning. My jersey sales are up. You guys are making a lot of money off of me. Let me have some of that as well. Yeah. But do it quietly. Don't
pay me, or watch me go play for another team that's going to destroy you.
Exactly. Like Tyreek Hill said to Kansas City, I can't wait to play you. I can't wait to play you because I want to burn you. And none of his contract stuff was ever messy and, oh my God, I hate the team and blah, 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 blah. But when he went away, that was his message to the team. You let me go. You let me go for the money. And let's see what I do to you when we do play each other.
All right. Well, that's all the conversation we got related to all of the teams. Now what we're going to do is we're going to break down our best division fantasy lineup. Now, Gabriel, you did not go first. But now I'm going to give you, as the guest of honor, the opportunity to go first. Who is your quarterback that you're going to pick? Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, or some combination of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields?
I went with Justin Fields. Nah, I'm kidding.
No way.
I went with...
Good. That's a good one.
I went with Lamar Jackson.
Okay, Lamar Jackson.
Because I grabbed him in our league this year, so he's going to be good.
Right. Hey, who did you trade to get Lamar?
I was a second rounder. But I think it was Bryce, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so I also chose Lamar Jackson. Andrew, did you pick Lamar or Joe Burrow?
I'm picking the backup for the Cleveland Browns. No, just kidding. Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I figured you'd go Joe.
If he can stay healthy, again, he can have a miraculous run again and be a top 5 quarterback.
Okay. He's going to do it through the air, so hopefully his receivers stay healthy.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to reveal my running back is Derrick Henry. I'm going to go on a limb and say, yes. Did everybody else pick Derrick Henry?
I did.
I did.
Okay. Andrew did. Gabriel did. So we all picked Derrick Henry. I think, to me, that's going to be an absolute lock. And I look forward to seeing what he actually produces this year.
And I looked it up on
And again,
on Vegas. They have him at over under 10 rushing touchdown this year. And I feel like it's not that much.
Oh. That's low, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Really?
I think he's around 13, 14.
I'd love to see him get there. I don't know with Lamar
stealing the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lamar might really temper that. So I'd actually pick 10 or under.
Where I see him,
he's going to have tons of touches and yards. Yeah.
Where I see him taking the touchdowns is when they're on the 10 to 15 yard line, and he breaks a tackle and runs them in.
Okay, sure.
You're right. You're right.
He's going to get his touchdowns.
Yeah, you're right. On the 1 yard line, it's going to be Lamar Jackson all day long, or Andrews.
Mark Andrews in the corner on the fade. All right, wide receiver. Just going to go out on a limb. Is it Jamar Chase for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not sure. I would love to have the discussion to see who your number one wide receiver would be if it wasn't. Now, this is where I think we're going to see some disparity.
Probably not.
When it comes to tight end,
probably not.
I chose Mark Andrews, but a case could be made for either Pat Freiermuth or David Njoku. No? Okay. Everyone again is Mark Andrews? Okay.
But I really wanted to put Pat Freiermuth this year because
I was all in on him as a rookie. I was all in on him as a rookie, and his first year he had a really decent year, and then he kind of fell off the radar. And I think it was just the team stopped throwing two tight ends. So we'll see what happens with. Yeah. We'll see how Russell Wilson does and Justin Fields does with them. It'll be really interesting.
I think Mark Andrews, if he's healthy and on the field, will be number one. My second pick
solid.
Pat Freiermuth.
I just don't think Njoku will be there.
Here we go. We're going to see some crazy, wild selections as our flex play because there are some great choices. Great choices. Okay.
Sure. I'll go first.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go out on the limb. I got Amari Cooper. I got Amari Cooper as my flex guy.
Amari Cooper. Okay. Really?
That's their whole offense.
Really? I would argue George Pickens might be the entire offense over there in Pittsburgh, and that's who I took was George Pickens.
True. He could be. He could very well be. I think Pittsburgh's going to be a running team this year.
So
I think that's going to hurt him.
Very well might be the case. Yeah. Great choices with Amari Cooper. Do you think Amari Cooper finishes in the top 10 in wide receiver this year? The 10?
Again, it's all going to depend on Deshaun Watson or whoever's throwing the ball. But everything is going to funnel through him. Between the 20s, it's going to be him. Or Njoku might get an odd pass here and there, but it's going to be all Cooper. I wouldn't say he's going to get a ton of touchdowns, but he's going to get the yardage and the catches. If he gets you 10 catches in a game, that's an extra 5 points. Right? So it's that could help win your week for you.
Yeah, Amari Cooper's got some good stuff going.
200 yards game too.
Yes, he'll get those odd games like that too.
Yes. He will. Okay. Well, you guys might make me regret my George Pickens, but I will still plant my flag.
Hey, that's not a bad pick though.
No, I think it was good. It's T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, and really that's it. Like Zay Flowers, but to me, Zay Flowers would be number 4 on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about Higgins, but then I thought you guys would make fun of me having 3 Bengals.
We would.
I thought about going Najee Harris. Not gonna lie. I think he's gonna have a good
Najee Harris? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We got a Najee truther here. All right, that's cool. All right, folks at home, here's the quick recap. My team looks like Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, George Pickens. Andrew looks like Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, Amari Cooper. Gabriel brings it in with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Mark Andrews, and Amari Cooper. We have an interesting spread. A couple of variations. We'll see how it actually plays out by the end of the year when we recap this several months from now. Now, that does bring us to the end of the show. Gabriel, I greatly appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us, bringing us your interesting take on the Pittsburgh Steelers and their first losing season of the year. Could make some history.
Yep.
Come back next week, folks. Wednesday, August 7th is when we record. And we're going to have the NFC West with our friend Donnie, Commissioner Extraordinaire. And that's it for this week. You can follow us on all our social media accounts. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, now known as X, Poor Man Football, all one word. From one poor man to another. If it's not fun, it is not worth doing. Good night, everybody.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.